Welcome to the Freedom Farm. Let's do a little walkthrough.
Okay,
So this is starting back
right
at
about
200 yards.
We'll just go ahead and walk it down.
And this is out into the field that my dad farms. This is usually some alfalfa.
So these hay bales, I'm going to end up using them for...
I'm going to end up putting a fence up here just to protect a little bit.
This is my long range lane.
Keep it more private.
And I've got my shortcut lane.
And this was filmed
here.
in January or February. And this section where the trees are green.
Okay, we're going to take a walk through here.
We're back in September of last year. And then we speed this up. So as we get down here, you can see where I have taken all the trees that I've removed, made good piles with them. And then a little ways down, I've got my first cutoff. So walking all the way down here, I decided this would be where I want to make my long range targets. So I've got them set up at the back, right up next to the creek, and behind them is about another 1/2 to 3/4 miles of dense trees that are growing right next to this creek, which you can see right there. But I, removed all these, widened it up a little bit, and this has turned out to be a really cool thing. The idea here is from the edge of the trees, it's about 160 yards. Getting out into the field, we're at 200. If I went all the way to the road in setup, I'd be 750 to 800 yards there. And now we're going to take a turn.
That's what this looks like. Then we take the first turn. I'm going to have some targets set up. I may make a little stage here. So I'm going to make some like steel challenge stages out here.
So the plan is I'll get little clay holders for shotgun targets, and I'm going to set them out into those trees so that you've got to be moving and shooting targets in between trees, so it's a little more challenging. And then this area, a little small clearing. I've got a few ideas. I think I can set up at least 2, maybe 3 different stages going at different angles here. And depending on where I start from, like going back into this area and shooting back the other way, I'd be able to have, I think, about a 75 to 80 yard little range, or little stage. But this little clearing, I haven't really done much with it yet, but I spent the majority of last year just getting all this ground ready to go. Working 5 days a week and only having a few hours on Sundays and Mondays, I got a lot done. And here we are at my main range.
Got the spinner, Texas Star. One little target, which I'm going to probably move him, but plate rack. I still got some more to clean up in the back. I did decide if I don't want to keep plugging targets and stuff.
So you can see these pallets and a tarp here. After several months of every time going out to shoot, I'd go pick up my targets, load them in the back of the truck, take them out, set them up, then get some practice in, tear them down, put them back in my truck, take them back to my dad's barn, unload them. I decided to get a little plastic tub and just keep my paper targets out there, covered them with a tarp, keep them up off the ground on those pallets, and then covered with a tarp for when it does rain. And this is where I pushed that target all the way back to the creek, took out that lane of trees right there, and then set up some tires behind it because the tree cover is fairly thin right there. So we got some big tractor tires, 4 tall and filled with dirt. So nothing's getting through that anymore.
It is coming along. all the summer of hard work, it's finally getting there.
But as you'll see later, this was, like I said, in September when I filmed this, and it was pretty much when I had got almost all of the tree clearing done and most of the shredding. But I hadn't really started setting up all the targets that I've acquired. As I found getting into this, targets and ammo, seems you can never have enough of either one of those. I think now I'm up to somewhere around 50 pieces of steel all total. But this area turned out really cool. After I started getting a little bit of the trees cleared out, able to make a few paths, really saw how there's going to be a lot of options that I'll have here, be able to set up a bunch of neat things. And this was just going to initially be a shortcut for me to walk through. I ended up clearing up some things in the ground, pulling up some more stumps, and now I'm able to drive through that pathway. So that has been a huge time saver in the setup and tear down at the end of each day.
To the end of the corner section. The distance is cool to walk through and hold you up high.
I tried to lift up the GoPro as high as I could so you kind of get an idea what it would look like, you know, if you were 12 feet tall. But this is kind of how I drive in. Zip through here, and then I found a big spider. Check this out. Where's he hiding? There he is. Big old spider. That is definitely one of the downsides of this area in the summer and first part of the fall. Spiders, ticks fall out of the trees. I haven't seen too many snakes, only 2 or 3. But the critters and the bugs are incessant. So, luckily I grew up on a farm, so I'm mostly familiar with them, and I know to stay away from them. So then we're going to cut to a later film section. I did this a couple weeks ago in February. So obviously the trees have died down, but I just wanted to kind of show an update of the progress that I've made since September, when I got the majority of the work done, and I've cleaned up a little more and set up a lot more targets. And this was after we had that a pretty bad ice storm and snowstorms and bad winds. I get down here and I realized a big tree fell.
So I've got a little paper target down here, and then I've got my 2 steel targets, which, you know, that's a Shoot Steel Evil Roy, and then just a Shoot Steel 2x4 mounted. Obviously with the trees, that guy, it's like he fell, smashed on that, and that one back there. So now I've got a clump of trees. That must have just happened sometime here in the last few weeks. I've been mostly down in a different section, so that's going to take some work, but you know, got some cool stuff down here. I can always move these targets if I need them in a different section. We've got a little clearing over here. I've got so when that tree fell, it caught 2 other big branches off the surrounding trees and pulled them all down. I was able to just get in there with a chainsaw and work it out, and target totally fine, no damage at all to any of them. So they held up really well. And you kind of see I've cleaned this up a little more from back in September. Made it so I can stand from here. I'll set up some targets down on the other side of the lane and have a little steel challenge type of stage right there. You know, one of the shorter range distance. I think that's only around 25-30 yards. And then as you can see, I haven't done anything with this. I spend most of my time
down in the main target area, what I call the big clearing.
And obviously, February right now, everything died down, but when the trees are growing, it's very hard to get through here. I made a little opening.
But it's kind of crazy to see how much the foliage really makes a place feel more dense. So now the leaves have fallen and the weeds are not growing, so it does not look anything like it does during the spring, summer, and first part of the fall. But these have all stayed around, so I've got my clay throwers. I set up a bunch of those little wire clay holders. I made a couple little makeshift shoot boxes, but now you can kind of start to see a lot of my targets that I've now got set up. And check this out. Just to show you, so these little guys, I've got little bitty targets, 4 inches tall, 2 inches wide. Got some old pieces of steel that my dad wasn't using. Made up a couple of target stands there. I've got several, another shoot box here, a swinger over there, a couple more sitting up. Wow, so the wind is actually pretty hardcore today. So we had some pretty brutal winds that day. Kept knocking that over. I just eventually took it down. But now you can see this other lane where I had that one target there. Now I push it several yards further back and tires full of dirt. Way down here, realized it's a little light on tree cover from the backside. So I got 4 tractor tires, stacked them up, filled them up with dirt. It's a pretty effective backstop. Painted white and different color target obviously makes it easier to see from further distance. So from where my little storage area is back to that target is right at 100 yards. So if I want to shoot rifle without having to go over to the long range section, I can set up right there and get after it. I came back and stuck that T-post back in the ground. The winds were impressively gnarly this day, and I think between the snow, ice, and heavy winds, that's what knocked those trees down. But anyways, as you can see, I've been driving through this way and it cleared up pretty well. That tree still grows. In the spring and summer, it'll be green and still putting out leaves and growing its branches. But this is my little drive-in path, and I'm pretty pleased with it. So I just want to say thanks for checking this out. I've wanted to get this video and kind of the overview with all the drone shots done before I get into making the shooting videos that I've got planned. I knew this would take the most work, and I just wanted to show people what all I did for the last year, like a lot of work. So I'm pretty pleased with it. This has turned out to be a really fun project. I am having a total blast. I'll be making more videos, different things I've got in mind, so I'm going to end it with a little bit of just shooting a quick stage. My fingers were pretty sore, but enjoy this, and we'll see y'all next time. Okay, we're going to try this real quick. I don't know how this is actually going to work, but worth a try. See if we can kind of see what I'm looking at when I'm out here getting a little practice in. So here we go.